The human was meant to die, until the alien princess intervened. The lights flickered intermittently, and the low hum of failing engines filled the air. He pressed his palm to a console, hoping for a miracle that would not come. His ship was damaged beyond immediate repair, and every sensor was picking up a warning signal. He knew it only meant one thing: the Council of Zyra had found him. For years, humanity had been watched across the galaxy like a fragile star about to burn out. The Council of Zyra, a coalition of advanced alien civilizations, had already declared humans a species destined to vanish, unfit for survival among the stars. And now, Elias realized, he was the last representative of that doomed lineage in this sector. His heart pounded, not from fear of death, but from the thought of failing humanity yet again. He had flown into this sector hoping for discovery, for a chance to find something that could change the Council's perception of humans. But he had found only abandoned relics of civilizations long past, civilizations that, like humans, had once believed in their own immortality. Now he faced the harsh reality that humans might indeed be next. The ship shuddered violently as a beam of energy from a Council patrol struck its hull. Elias' eyes widened. He had no weapons that could stand against them, no shields that could resist. Every instinct screamed to surrender, but something deep inside him, a stubborn spark, almost human in its persistence, refused to let him give up. He stumbled to the cargo hold, where an ancient object rested beneath a dusty tarp. It was a strange artifact, smooth and metallic, shaped like a teardrop with patterns that seemed to shimmer in the dim light. He had found it in a forgotten corner of an abandoned research station, its purpose unknown, but it had called to him in a way that made him feel alive. Elias held it in his hands, feeling a faint warmth that contrasted with the cold fear in his chest. As the Council patrol closed in, their ships like silent predators in the blackness outside, the artifact pulsed. A soft glow enveloped his fingers, growing brighter with every passing second. Panic and awe collided in his mind. He had no idea what it would do, but instinct told him it was his only chance. The bridge alarms blared, warning of hull breaches and energy strikes. Elias closed his eyes and pressed the artifact to the console, whispering a desperate plea. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the world around him seemed to twist and fold, as if reality itself were bending. The Odyssey trembled violently, lights spinning in chaotic patterns. And then, in a blinding flash, he was gone. When Elias opened his eyes, he was no longer aboard the Odyssey. The darkness of space had been replaced by towering spires of light, a city that seemed alive with energy. He floated above streets paved with crystal and walls that shimmered like liquid silver. The air was breathable, crisp and strange, carrying scents of flora he had never imagined. He realized he was no longer in the sector dominated by the Council of Zyra. He was somewhere entirely different, somewhere untouched by their judgment. A soft voice broke through his awe. "You are far from home, human." Elias turned, startled, to see a figure descending from one of the luminous towers. She moved with grace, her every step seemingly floating above the ground. Her skin was pale, almost translucent, and her eyes glimmered with a color he had no name for, a mix of green and gold that seemed to see everything at once. Her hair flowed like liquid silver, and she wore robes that shimmered with patterns that shifted as she walked. I don't know where I am," Elias stammered, his voice cracking from tension and disbelief. "You are in Zarathia," she said calmly. "I am Princess Lyra." Elias blinked, trying to comprehend what he was seeing. Princess Lyra. He had heard of Zarathia in scattered legends, a civilization known for wisdom and advanced technology, yet mysterious and almost untouchable. To be standing in their capital was beyond any explorer's dream. To be met by a princess herself was unimaginable. You saved me," he asked cautiously, unsure if he should trust anyone. Lyra tilted her head slightly, a small smile playing at her lips. Saved, perhaps. Or perhaps fate led you here because something in you was not yet meant to die. Elias swallowed hard. The council, they're after me. They want humans gone. I don't know how to stop them. Lyra's gaze softened. Humans are rarely understood, even among the greatest civilizations. Your species is considered fragile, yet your existence persists where many others would have failed. That is why you are here. Elias could hardly believe her words. He had spent his life feeling insignificant in the face of vast galactic empires. To hear that his survival might matter, it was overwhelming. Lyra led him through the city, moving as though walking was an afterthought. Elias followed, trying to match her pace, noticing the incredible harmony in everything around him. Buildings seemed alive, their surfaces shifting in response to the people walking nearby. The air hummed with energy that he could feel in his chest, like the gentle vibration of a massive, sleeping heart. "Why me?" Elias asked after a long silence. "Why would you care about a single human?" Lyra paused, turning to face him. "Because your species has something none of my people have," she said softly. "The ability to hope when all seems lost, to create beauty from nothing, to rise from failure and turn it into strength. These are qualities I wish to understand and perhaps preserve." Elias stared at her, a mixture of awe and disbelief washing over him. He had spent his life thinking humans were weak, vulnerable, nearly irrelevant in the cosmic scale. Yet here was an alien princess, one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy, telling him that humans might be extraordinary in ways he had never imagined. They arrived at a building that seemed to be carved from a single crystal. Its doors opened without touch, inviting them into a vast hall filled with archives. The walls were lined with data crystals, containing information about countless worlds and species. Lyra gestured for Elias to sit. "This is where I study," she explained. "I wish to learn everything about your kind before the council claims you as they intend." Elias sank into a chair, the weight of exhaustion finally hitting him. He was safe for now, but the sense of urgency remained. "I don't even know where to start," he admitted. "Start with your story," Lyra said. "Tell me what it means to be human from your perspective, not what others say but what you know." And so Elias spoke. He told her about Earth, about humanity's struggles and triumphs, about art and music, about love and loss, about fear and hope. He spoke of the fragility of life and the stubborn will to survive, even when everything seemed impossible. He noticed Lyra listening intently, her eyes never leaving him, her expression a mixture of curiosity and reverence. Hours passed, and the archives began to glow faintly, responding to his words. Elias realized that his voice, his very existence, was interacting with this alien technology in ways he could not explain. The building seemed to breathe with him, as if acknowledging that humans had something worth preserving. "You see," Lyra said, breaking the silence. "Your kind is unpredictable, fragile, yes, but also astonishingly resilient. The council judges only by what they can see, but they do not understand the deeper truths of humanity." Elias felt a warmth in his chest, a mixture of relief and pride. For the first time in his life, he felt that humans might not be alone in the universe, that they might have allies even among species far older and more advanced. As the light of Zarathia's twin suns shifted outside, Elias knew he had been given a chance to survive, to learn, to grow. But he also knew that this was only the beginning. The council would not give up easily, and the galaxy was full of dangers he could not yet see. Still, with Princess Lyra by his side, he felt something he had never felt before, a spark of hope that burned brighter than any star, a promise that perhaps humans were not meant to vanish. Perhaps, against all odds, they were meant to endure. And somewhere deep in the archives, the artifact that had brought him here pulsed faintly, as if acknowledging that a human had arrived in a place where fate itself was watching closely. Elias looked at Lyra and smiled, a mixture of gratitude and determination. Then I'll do whatever it takes, he said. If humans are meant to survive, then I'll survive, and I'll show the galaxy why we should not be forgotten. Lyra returned his smile, her eyes glimmering with a strange light. I believe you will, Elias. And I believe your kind has much more to offer than anyone yet realizes. The stars outside the crystal walls of Zarathia shimmered in silent anticipation, as if the universe itself was leaning closer to watch the story of a human who had been given a second chance begin. Elias spent the first night in Zarathia in a room that shimmered like liquid. Glass, walls shifting subtly to match his moods. He could hear the soft hum of energy running through the city outside, a constant reminder that he was somewhere unlike any place on Earth. The calm beauty of the palace made him feel almost guilty. On Earth, humans often struggled just to survive, yet here he was, safe, warm, and protected by beings who could have destroyed him without effort. Princess Lyra arrived the next morning with a soft smile. Good morning, Elias. I hope you rested well. Today we begin your lessons. Elias rubbed his eyes and tried to sit up. Lessons? I didn't expect lessons. Lyra's smile widened. You do not yet understand your own species. To show the Council the true potential of humanity, we must first understand it ourselves. For the next several hours they explored the archives. Lyra showed Elias ancient records of human history, including texts, music recordings, and images of art. Elias recognized some of it, even smiled at familiar songs from Earth, but he noticed how differently Lyra reacted. She paused at a painting of a human family, eyes wide. Your species places so much importance on emotion, and yet you continue to thrive despite so much hardship. Elias nodded. We have no choice sometimes. We survive because we want to, because we hope, even when everything says we shouldn't. Maybe that makes us seem weak, but it's also our strength. Lyra considered his words silently, then said, I wish all beings could understand hope like humans do. It is remarkable. They moved to a section of the archives that stored simulations. Lyra gestured at a large platform that displayed holographic images. This will help us understand how you think and adapt. You will face problems we have created to test your ingenuity. Elias swallowed. Test. What kind of problems? Challenges that require imagination and resilience, she said. You must solve them using only the knowledge and instincts of your species. No alien tools, no shortcuts. The first challenge appeared as a holographic landscape, a world in ruins, filled with obstacles and scarce resources. Elias had to guide a simulation of humans through survival, finding food, creating shelter, and avoiding danger. At first, it seemed impossible. Every move he made was countered by random environmental hazards, but he remembered stories from Earth, lessons in creativity and collaboration, and slowly the simulation began to respond. Lyra watched in silence, studying every decision. She noticed how Elias paused before each choice, not just calculating probabilities but imagining possibilities. He improvised, creating tools from scraps, guiding the humans through problems that seemed unsolvable. Hours passed and the simulation evolved, reflecting strategies no alien mind had thought to try. Lyra finally spoke, her voice calm but filled with awe. You are showing qualities I did not expect. Your species does not only survive. You invent, adapt, and overcome. Elias leaned back, exhausted but exhilarated. That's what humans do. We find ways to keep going even when it's hard. It's not cleverness alone, it's stubbornness. Lyra smiled, her gaze softening. A kind of stubbornness that can change the galaxy if nurtured. After the test, they walked through the gardens of the palace. The flora glowed faintly, responding to the presence of living beings. Flowers turned toward them, vines shifted gently, and soft lights danced across the ground. Elias felt a sense of wonder he had not experienced since childhood, before Earth's struggles had worn him down. Why help me? He asked quietly. Why risk everything for a human? Lyra paused, picking a glowing flower and holding it gently. "Because I see something unique in you in humans, a spark that even the most advanced civilizations cannot replicate. I wish to protect it, to understand it, and perhaps to share it with others." Elias considered her words, feeling warmth spread in his chest. For the first time, he realized that someone truly believed in humanity, not just as survivors but as something more. Days passed, and Elias continued the lessons. Lyra introduced him to alien technologies, but always with a restriction. He could only use them in ways humans would naturally adapt. They worked together to solve problems, explore the archives, and even communicate with ancient AI systems that stored wisdom from extinct civilizations. Each time, Elias found solutions that Lyra admitted she had never expected. One evening, Lyra led him to a large chamber filled with mirrors, or what seemed like mirrors. Elias realized they were portals, reflections of countless worlds and civilizations. "These are the paths of existence," Lyra explained. "Some civilizations thrive, others vanish. Humans are a mystery. You survive against odds that would destroy most species." Elias gazed at the reflections. He saw worlds that had been consumed by war, planets abandoned by their inhabitants, and civilizations fading into memory. Then he saw glimpses of humans on Earth, small and fragile yet enduring. "We're lucky," he said softly, "but luck doesn't explain everything." Lyra nodded. "No, you adapt, you learn, you continue. That is why you are here. That is why I will not allow the Council to decide your fate without understanding what humans truly are." Their growing friendship gave Elias courage. He shared stories of Earth, simple things, like children laughing, festivals, and moments of kindness that could change someone's day. Lyra listened intently, fascinated by the concept of a species so small yet capable of such emotional depth. "You humans cherish what seems small," she said one night, "yet it shapes everything. It is beautiful." Then came the day when Lyra brought him to the Hall of Records, a vast space filled with historical accounts of the galaxy. "Here, Elias, is the truth about your species," she said. "You are not weak. You are underestimated because no one has taken the time to understand your resilience, your creativity, and your hope. I will show the Council the truth of humanity, but first, we must prepare." Elias realized that his journey had changed. He was no longer just running for survival. He was learning how to represent humanity in a universe that had already written them off. With every lesson, he understood a little more about his species and about himself. Lyra guided him through simulations of the Council's thinking, explaining their rules, their logic, and their prejudices. "They see humans as fragile," she said, "but you are adaptable. Your ability to respond to the unexpected is something we cannot replicate, and it may be your greatest weapon." Elias frowned. "Weapon? I don't want to fight anyone." Lyra shook her head. "Not a weapon in the sense of war, a weapon in the sense of proving value. Showing that humanity is not meant to die. That is how we will protect your species." The next test came in the form of a puzzle. A holographic world was presented, filled with complex systems and interdependent variables. Elias had to guide a small human settlement to survive and thrive, making choices that would influence the environment, social structure, and technology development. Every decision he made echoed in the holographic world, sometimes in unexpected ways. He experimented, learned from failures, adapted, and discovered solutions that no alien logic could have predicted. Lyra observed silently, eyes wide in admiration. "You think differently," she said. "You do not see limits, only possibilities. That is why humans endure." As the simulated world began to prosper, Lyra turned to him. "This is what I want the Council to see, that humans are not fragile, that they are extraordinary." Elias felt a sense of pride he had never known. For years, he had felt like a small, insignificant part of a failing species. Now, under Lyra's guidance, he began to see the truth in her words. Humans might be underestimated, fragile in some ways, but in spirit, in creativity, and in hope, they were remarkable. Night fell, and the twin moons of Zarathia bathed the palace in soft silver light. Elias and Lyra sat in the garden, surrounded by glowing plants that whispered in the wind. Elias looked at her and spoke quietly. "Do you really believe we can change their minds?" "The council, they've already decided." Lyra smiled, placing a hand on his shoulder. "They have not seen the truth yet, and once they do, they will not be able to deny it. Humans survive because you believe in things others cannot. That belief is powerful." Elias leaned back, watching the moons reflect in the shimmering water. He thought of Earth, of the people he might never see again, and of the endless possibilities the galaxy held. "Then I'll do my best," he said. "I'll show them why humans should live, why we should not be forgotten." Lyra nodded. "And I will stand with you. Together, we will ensure that your species has a future." For the first time in his life, Elias felt hope that was not fragile or fleeting. He felt purpose. He felt that humanity, small and underestimated, might indeed leave a mark on the stars. And somewhere deep within the palace, the artifact that had brought him to Zarathia pulsed faintly, as if acknowledging that the human who had been meant to die had been given a chance to prove that he and his species were far stronger than anyone had imagined. The morning sky of Zarathia glimmered with pale gold and violet as Elias awoke, his thoughts heavy with the knowledge that today might change everything. For days he had trained, learned, and discovered the hidden strengths of his species under Princess Lyra's guidance. Now, he knew the Council of Zyra would arrive at any moment. Unlike before, he did not feel fear, at least not the paralyzing fear he had carried for years. Instead, he felt a quiet determination. Lyra greeted him at the door, her expression calm, though her eyes carried a spark of anticipation. "They will arrive soon," she said. "I have prepared for this day, but your choices will determine much. Remember, Elias, they value logic and reason. They have yet to understand what humans bring beyond statistics and probabilities." Elias nodded. He had spent countless hours learning their ways, their history, their prejudices, and yet he knew one thing. Humans were unlike any other species the Council had encountered. It was that unpredictability, that spark of hope and creativity that could tip the scales. Outside, the horizon darkened as sleek ships emerged from the void. The Council of Zyra had arrived, their vessels like sharp shards of black crystal gliding through space. Elias felt a pang of tension, but Lyra placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "They are here," she said softly. "Show them why humans endure." The Council's emissaries materialized on the palace grounds, beings of sleek design and intimidating presence. They were tall, their forms symmetrical and precise, exuding an aura of authority. Elias observed them carefully. Each movement was deliberate, each expression controlled. These were not beings to be intimidated by gestures alone. They respected logic and cleverness. One of the emissaries stepped forward, his voice deep and resonant. "Princess Lyra, we come for the human named Elias Ward. His species has been deemed unworthy of continued existence. Hand him over, and Zarathia will be spared the consequences of interference." Lyra's gaze was steady. "You may judge humans by your standards, but you have not yet seen the truth. This human is capable of qualities you have never measured, traits you cannot quantify. If you wish, you may observe, but Elias will not be harmed." The emissaries exchanged silent signals, calculating, analyzing. Finally, the lead spoke. "Very well, we will observe. But this is your only chance, Princess. If he fails, your interference will have consequences." Elias swallowed, though his resolve did not falter. Lyra gestured toward a platform where the first trial would take place. It was an arena, not of violence, but of complex systems designed to challenge intellect, strategy, and adaptability. Holographic landscapes appeared, shifting and rearranging themselves in real time, simulating problems that required more than simple calculations. The first scenario presented a planet in chaos. Storms ravaged the land, resources were scarce, and the local population of sentient beings, humanoid yet alien, struggled to survive. Elia's task was clear: guide them to stability using only their natural abilities and creativity, without imposing alien solutions. At first, the simulation seemed overwhelming. Every decision he made had cascading effects, sometimes unforeseen. Elias paused, recalling the lessons Lyra had taught him. Humans thrived under pressure because they adapted, thought creatively, and collaborated. With that in mind, he began to strategize. He guided the population to build simple tools from natural resources, teaching them ways to collect water, gather food, and construct shelters. When storms destroyed structures, he encouraged improvisation, showing that failure was not the end but an opportunity to find new solutions. Slowly, the simulated world began to stabilize. The council watched silently, their expressions unreadable. Elias could feel their scrutiny, yet he did not falter. Each decision reflected not just logic but intuition, empathy, and ingenuity, the human way. Hours passed, and the simulation evolved into a thriving settlement, adapting to challenges that no other species had managed to overcome in previous tests. Elias felt a quiet sense of triumph, though he knew the council's judgment would not come easily. Lyra stepped forward, her voice calm yet confident. "You see their progress. This is not luck. It is human creativity, perseverance, and adaptability." The council emissary's tone was cautious. "Interesting. Yet simulations do not always reflect reality. Show us further proof that this species can endure and thrive beyond controlled conditions." Elias took a deep breath. Lyra led him to the next challenge, a puzzle of social cooperation. Groups of sentient beings were placed in difficult situations where they had to cooperate to succeed. Conflict was inevitable, scarcity forced hard choices, and the environment shifted unpredictably. Elias guided them using principles humans often relied on: communication, empathy, and creative compromise. He taught them to share resources strategically, resolve disputes without aggression, and use their individual strengths for collective benefit. Slowly, the groups learned to work together, overcoming challenges that initially seemed insurmountable. The council watched, intrigued despite themselves. "This is unexpected," one emissary murmured. "The humans demonstrate ingenuity beyond predictive models." Elias felt a quiet pride. "It's not about being the strongest or fastest," he said softly. "It's about working together, thinking creatively, and never giving up. Humans survive because we adapt, because we hope." Lyra smiled, her eyes reflecting approval. "And that, counsel, is why this human survives, and why your judgment may need reconsideration." The final test approached, a scenario requiring instantaneous problem-solving. A simulated disaster threatened the survival of the population. Floods, earthquakes, and resource collapse forced Elias to act quickly. He combined everything he had learned: human intuition, adaptive thinking, and the ability to inspire cooperation. Every decision he made rippled through the simulation, creating unexpected solutions. Shelters were rebuilt innovatively, food distribution systems were optimized using trial and error, and the community became self-sufficient despite the calamity. The holographic population thrived against odds that even the council had deemed insurmountable. The emissaries observed in silence, visibly recalculating their assumptions. Elias realized that he had accomplished what humans often did: turning impossible situations into opportunities for growth. Finally, the simulations ended. The holographic landscapes dissolved, leaving only the council and Lyra standing in the arena. Elias' chest heaved with exhaustion, but he stood tall. For the first time, he felt humanity recognized, not as fragile, not as doomed, but as capable, resilient, and remarkable. The lead emissary stepped forward, pausing thoughtfully. We underestimated humans. Their ability to adapt, create, and persevere surpasses our models. This human has demonstrated qualities that even our civilization cannot replicate. Lyra's expression softened, a subtle pride in her eyes. And there is more to discover. Humans are unpredictable, but that unpredictability is not weakness. It is strength. I have witnessed it firsthand. Elias felt a surge of hope. He had faced the council not with weapons, but with ingenuity, empathy, and the simple truths of his species. And for the first time, he realized that humans were not alone. Lyra had seen the spark, and now the council could not ignore it. The emissary regarded him with a mixture of respect and surprise. Your species is different from what we expected. Perhaps it is not meant to vanish as we believed. Elias' heart swelled. He thought of Earth, of the people who had struggled and persevered through centuries, and of the countless moments of courage and creativity that had defined humanity. This was their chance, not just for him, but for all humans. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. You have done more than survive, Elias. You have shown that humans have a place among the stars, that your species deserves a future. The emissaries began to retreat, returning to their ships. Before leaving, the lead emissary spoke one final time. We will reconsider our judgment. Your species may yet have a future. We have seen evidence of what humans are capable of, thanks to your demonstration. Elias exhaled, relief washing over him. He had survived the council's scrutiny not through force, but through the qualities that defined humanity: hope, ingenuity, and resilience. Lyra guided him back to the palace, where the energy of Zarathia pulsed softly around them. You have done more than prove yourself, she said. You have proved that humanity, small though it may seem, has a value that cannot be measured in numbers alone. Elias smiled, exhaustion fading into determination. Then we have a chance. Not just for me, but for everyone back home. Maybe humans, maybe we aren't meant to die. Lyra nodded. You will return to your world, Elias, and you will carry this truth with you. Humans have potential that even the oldest civilizations cannot fully understand. That potential must be nurtured, protected, and shared. The twin moons of Zarathia glimmered in the night sky as Elias gazed at them, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He thought of Earth, of the challenges ahead, and of the vast galaxy that stretched endlessly before him. For the first time, he felt that humanity was not fragile or insignificant. They were strong, adaptable, and capable of extraordinary feats. And somewhere deep in the palace, the artifact that had brought him here pulsed faintly, as if acknowledging that the human who was meant to die had proven that he and his species were far stronger and more remarkable than anyone had imagined. Elias turned to Lyra, gratitude and determination shining in his eyes. Thank you, he said softly, for believing in me and for believing in humans. Lyra smiled. It is not I who believed alone, Elias. It is what you and your species carry within. That spark is what the galaxy will come to know if you have the courage to show it. Elias nodded. I will, I promise. Humanity will not be forgotten. The council had seen, Lyra had seen, and now Elias would carry that knowledge back to his world. Humanity, small and underestimated, would have a chance to show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. And for the first time in his life, Elias felt that human potential was limitless. Elias stood on the observation deck of the Zarathia Palace, staring at the stars that stretched endlessly before him. The Council of Zyra had departed, their judgment reconsidered, leaving humanity a chance to survive. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing on his shoulders. The galaxy had seen what humans could do, not through force or dominance, but through creativity, adaptability, and hope. Princess Lyra appeared beside him, her expression calm yet bright with quiet pride. You are ready, she said. It is time for you to return to your world. Elias turned to her, gratitude shining in his eyes. I don't know if I can ever repay you, Lyra. You saved me and maybe more than just me. You've given humanity a chance. Lyra smiled softly. I did not save you alone. It was your ingenuity, your determination, and your spirit that proved humans are more than what the Council believed. I only gave you the opportunity to show it. That spark, it was always yours. The artifact that had brought him to Zerathia pulsed faintly, hovering near his side. Lyra gestured toward it. This device will return you to Earth, but it carries more than transportation. It is a link between our worlds. Use it wisely. Elias reached out and touched the artifact. A warmth spread through his fingers, filling him with energy and a sense of purpose. He could feel the possibilities ahead, ways to inspire humans, to share knowledge, and to prepare for the challenges that would come. Before he departed, Lyra spoke once more. Remember, Elias, humans thrive not because they are the strongest, but because they are adaptable. They face the impossible and continue. They create, they hope, they endure. Take that message with you. Show the galaxy the truth of your species. Elias nodded, swallowing hard. I will. I promise. The artifact glowed brighter, surrounding him with a soft, shimmering light. Elias felt the familiar pull as reality twisted and folded around him. For a moment he saw glimpses of countless worlds, cities of light, oceans of colors, civilizations thriving and fading. Then, with a gentle whoosh, he was gone from Zerathia. He opened his eyes to find himself aboard the Odyssey, back in the sector where the Council had first hunted him. The ship was still damaged, its systems flickering, but he was alive, and he carried with him knowledge and confidence that he had never known before. Elias exhaled deeply, looking out at the blackness of space. He thought of Lyra, of the Palace of Light, and of the message she had entrusted to him. Humanity was not weak. Humanity had potential that could surprise the galaxy. The first challenge was simple yet daunting: reach Earth safely. He activated the ship's remaining engines, guided by instinct and the faint glow of the artifact. Each jump through space felt like a step closer to home, yet Elias knew the true journey would begin when he returned to humanity itself. Days passed in the cold silence of space. Elias repaired the Odyssey as best he could, using ingenuity and improvisation, adapting tools in ways that the ship's designers had never intended. Every repair, every calculation reminded him of what Lyra had said. Humans survived because they adapted, they improvised, and they never gave up. Finally, Earth appeared on the sensors, a blue and green jewel spinning in the darkness. Elias felt a surge of emotion, a mixture of relief, pride, and anticipation. Humanity awaited, fragile yet resilient, unaware that one of its own had just proven their worth in the vastness of the galaxy. As he descended into the atmosphere, Elias thought about what he had learned. Humans were often underestimated, even by themselves. They survived wars, disasters, and challenges that seemed insurmountable. They endured because of hope, creativity, and the ability to turn failure into opportunity. Landing near a familiar city, Elias stepped out into the sunlight. The air smelled of earth, of grass, rain, and life. People passed by, unaware of the cosmic trials that had determined the survival of their species. Elias felt a deep connection to them, a sense of duty to inspire, guide, and protect. He activated the artifact once more, opening a subtle communication link with Zerathia. Lyra's voice came through, calm and reassuring. You have returned, Elias. Now the work begins. I understand, he replied. I need to help humanity see itself as you saw it, to show them that we are not fragile, that we are capable of more than we think. Lyra's tone carried warmth. Start small, Elias. Share knowledge, inspire hope, and demonstrate the value of creativity and resilience. Humanity will follow if it sees the possibilities. Elias nodded. He began planning ways to share what he had learned: educational programs, communication of adaptive strategies, and stories that highlighted human ingenuity. He knew the galaxy would not change overnight, but the first steps had been taken. In the weeks that followed, Elias traveled from city to city, sharing his experiences and insights. People listened, intrigued by his tales of distant civilizations, alien technology, and the lessons he had learned from a princess who had believed in humans. Slowly, curiosity and hope spread. Communities began to experiment with new ways of learning, solving problems, and collaborating. Elias realized that the spark Lyra had recognized was growing within humanity. The potential to adapt, to innovate, and to endure was no longer hidden. It was becoming a shared understanding, a collective awakening to the truth of their own resilience. At night, he would look up at the stars, remembering Zarathia and Princess Lyra. The galaxy seemed smaller now, not because it had shrunk, but because he knew that humans had a place among the stars. They could survive, they could thrive, and they could leave a mark that no one had expected. The artifact remained with him, a reminder of the bond between worlds. It pulsed faintly, a quiet message that humans were not alone. Through it, Lyra continued to offer guidance, sharing insights and knowledge that Elias used to help humanity grow. Months turned into years. Humanity began to change in subtle ways. Communities worked together more effectively. Education focused on creativity and problem-solving. People learned to see challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth. The lessons Elias had learned on Zarathia spread, not through force, but through inspiration and example. Elias became a quiet leader, not through authority but through influence. He reminded people of their own resilience, their capacity to adapt, and the strength that came from hope. Humanity began to thrive in ways that no alien civilization had predicted, and somewhere across the galaxy, Princess Lyra watched through the artifact. She smiled, knowing that the human she had chosen to protect had succeeded in proving that humanity was not meant to die. They had survived, and they were beginning to understand the true measure of their potential. Elias often thought back to the Council, to their assumptions, and to the challenges he had faced in Zarathia. He understood now that humans were underestimated because their strength was not obvious. It lay in subtlety, in creativity, resilience, and hope. And that strength, once recognized, could reshape the galaxy itself. One evening, standing beneath the stars, Elias reflected on the journey that had brought him here. From the brink of death to the halls of Zarathia, and finally back to Earth, he had learned that survival was more than a biological imperative. It was a choice, a mindset, and a commitment to seeing possibilities where others saw despair. He looked at the night sky, knowing that the Council had witnessed humanity's potential, that Lyra had believed in them, and that the galaxy would never underestimate humans again. Elias smiled, a quiet, steady smile. Humanity had a future, and it was a future filled with possibility. The spark Lyra had recognized was now a flame, spreading across Earth, igniting hope, creativity, and resilience in every heart it touched. And in the silent pulse of the artifact, Elias felt the quiet approval of his friend across the stars, a reminder that even small beings could shape the destiny of the cosmos. Humans were not meant to die. They were meant to endure, to adapt, and to surprise the universe in ways no one could have predicted. Elias turned back toward the city, ready to continue his work. The journey was far from over, but the first steps had been taken. Humanity had a chance to thrive, and he would ensure that they took it. The stars above seemed to shine a little brighter, reflecting the light of a species that had been given a second chance, a chance to show the universe what humans were truly capable of. And somewhere across the infinite distances of space, Princess Lyra smiled, knowing that her faith in humanity had been well placed. Elias whispered softly, "We will not be forgotten." The galaxy, vast and waiting, seemed to listen. The human was meant to die, until the alien princess intervened.